everyone. It's I, Wacky Anime What If here to present you with What If Issei was betrayed and sent to the Backrooms Part 1. Let's go and get into it. Currently, Issei and Azazel are both on the ground. Both of them stare up towards the ceiling with different reactions. Issei is completely confused about what's happening, while Azazel seems a little startled. He immediately gets up off the ground in a huge rush and panic. So does Issei after his little confusion. As they both get onto their feet, Azazel looked towards Issei and said, "Do you know where we are?" And Issei says, "I don't know, but we're not in Kansas anymore, obviously." As Azazel looks at him with a seriousness in his eyes, his tone changes. "Issei, this is no joking time or matter. We need to find a way out of here very, very quickly. I don't know where we are, but my senses have been tingling, my danger sense, ever since we arrived." And immediately, Issei said, "So, do you know where we are, or how to escape exactly? I mean, we've only been here for a few seconds. We need to look around, I guess. Or we could just blow a hole through the entire building and leave that way. It looks unoccupied. After all, the walls look quite old, but quite fresh at the same time. It's as if they're very old walls, but fresh paint is on them." And immediately he looks around only to see various different pathways, and it looks like a maze. Different lights all around. Some of them have a little bit of red lights, and some of them are blinking. Immediately Issei looks towards Azazel and said, "So, are you going to go ahead and blow an exit out of here, or..." Immediately, Azazel said, "That's what I was trying to do, but I can't." As he tries to muster any magic from his body, only to realize he can't use it as if something's blocking it. Issei immediately stared towards his hand and said, "Hey, Drake." Drake immediately popped out and said, "Yes, Issei?" And Issei said, "Do you know where we are?" Drake says, "I have no clue, but I suggest that you two get out of here very, very quickly." As Drake was about to tell more, only for Azazel to start to panic as he looked around. He immediately catching Issei off guard as he jumped backwards almost in front of him. As Azazel said, "What was that?" And his eyes seemed very terrified. Before Issei said, what was what? And he pointed in a certain direction, and Issei looked behind him and saw absolutely nothing there. Until, all of a sudden, around the corner, a long, lanky hand grabbed the corner edge for Issei to see its fingers, and then it peered its head out and was slightly slanting towards the side while peeking directly at them. Immediately, they both go into panic as Issei tries to get his wings to come out, and Azazel does so they can just fly away. It'd be quicker than running, but they realize they can't even force them out. Something's blocking a lot of their abilities. As Issei immediately starts to run the opposite way of the creature, so does Azazel. As they're running, they hear a creature's loud footsteps and a roar from behind them. As they look behind them, Issei and Azazel are terrified because they just noticed this creature is moving almost twice as fast as both of them. How is it so fast? And as they're running down the hallway, they look in front of them only to see the lights are starting to turn off. They're starting to blink more until Azazel sees that one light completely disappeared and that there was just a glowing, smiling face in the dark, just staring at them with a wide smile, as Issei and Azazel quickly did a sharp turn to get away from that entity, as it started chasing after them as well, along with the creature with its loud footsteps ringing behind them the entire way. As they're running down the straight narrow path, Issei ends up saying, "Hey, do you think we've already went through this way?" As they start running, Issei starts noting that this looks exactly like the previous room, as they both come to a stop after not hearing any footsteps behind them or anything. They look around to see no one's there anymore, They think they might have lost them, but Issei says, I still think that he might be near, actually. As he says this, Azazel said, Issei, be quiet for a moment. They start to be very quiet, and they hear absolutely nothing until they hear a little creaking sound. And Azazel and Issei both looked to the opposite of each other's side and see nothing until when they both turn around to try to meet each other in the eyes, they see in the middle of it was the entity they were running from. It immediately grabs Issei, picks him up, and tears off his arm that had drag on it before literally opening its mouth and having razor sharp teeth about to clamp down on his head and feast on him until Azazel rushes the creature and tries to slam into him, only for him not to budge but look at Azazel's face and then start to smile as it throws Issei at Azazel, and then it walks towards the arm that had the drag on it before all of a sudden lifting it up towards its face, and biting into the armor that had the armored arm of Issei, which was the drag, and literally piercing through the armor and completely devouring it as the drag screamed in pain as he's feeling this through the glove itself. And it's hurting him to his very soul as Issei seeing one of his best friends being killed and a part of him being killed as well, as he looks towards Azazel, who's trying to calmly get up and grab Issei's hand, as Issei can no longer get up from when he was thrown. His leg was broken. He tries to get up, only for the creature to already have finished and charge towards Issei and Azazel. Immediately, Issei looks at Azazel, only to see that Azazel has grabbed him and threw him directly to the hallway behind him and started to scream for him to run. As the creature closed in on Azazel, it immediately pierced through into his torso with its razor-sharp, lengthy arms and went straight through him before lifting up in the air and starting to rip off all of his skin while he's completely alive, as Issei can hear screaming as he gets up and runs the opposite way, only for him to be met directly with a smiler as he runs and sees a creepy smile, but he's running too fast that he can't stop himself. But as he is about to run directly into the smiler, his leg completely gives out and he falls directly in front of it as it looks at him and looks downwards, and its face starts to get closer and closer, and then all of a sudden, POV change, from in the backrooms, you can only hear screams of horror as both Azazel and Issei have met their end. All of a sudden, for Issei, as he was getting completely devoured by a smiler, all of a sudden, everything turned completely pitch black until he found himself back in the same room. As he got up and quickly looked to the side to Azazel, who's quickly getting up in a panic, as he looks around, and Issei says, Azazel, you're fine? What happened? And then Azazel said, well, we both got literally sucker punched into an unknown area that I have no knowledge of. As Issei says, what do you mean you have no knowledge of? We were being chased by an entity that you saw previously. As Azazel says, wait, what do you mean? Until all of a sudden, Azazel, as he's looking around and listening to Issei, sees a creature, and the creature runs past and hides behind a wall. And Azazel points it out and says, Issei, what, did you see that? And Issei immediately looks towards Azazel, and then starts to think on the inside, what is happening? And that's where I'm going to stop. What if Issei was betrayed and sent to the Backrooms? Part 1, I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did, make sure you smash that like button and destroy that subscribe button. Also, now I might be doing something special in October. It might be more of a spooky what ifs on October. If anyone would like it, please comment below spooky what if. And I'll be gone now. See ya.